Welcome to another episode of Equip and Elevate. We are in season 2. I am so excited about today's conversation. I have Zoe. You guys probably know her. You love her. Everyone, actually, this is a Zoe inspired outfit. So if you listen to the podcast on your way to work, when you get home, make sure you go on YouTube and check out my outfit, guys. I work so hard. I hope you can see the whole fit. I'll even show you some of my heels that I wore just to make sure that I align with her brand. But in the meantime, let me introduce the beautiful and amazing Zoe. You guys probably know her as a content creator, not just any content creator, but a fashion, and she's also doing beauty. But not only is she that, she's also a public relations and brand management specialist. So I'm really excited to tap into that space, especially for small businesses where you're sitting there and you're like, I don't have a PR budget. What can I do with my small budget that I have? But anyway, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Ayanda.
I am so excited to have you because we have a mutual friend. Well, not friend. He's my friend. He's your nephew. Mm-hmm. And I love him so much. And I think
I love him so much.
And when you walked in, I had the same energy when I met his mom with him. And I'm just this warm energy. So I'm really excited to get to know you a bit more. And I think, we always see you on social media, put together, your Dior's, your amazing looks. And I think just engaging with you, I'm like, wow, there's so much to get to know from you.
I hope so. I hope so, yeah. Well, it's lovely to meet you.
Lovely to
finally meet you.
Yeah.
I always see you on Yamkela's profile, and he's literally one of my favorite people on earth. And I'm looking forward to getting to know you as well. Yeah.
Oh, and I think, if you're listening to this, you are the
Of course he's listening. He has to listen.
He has to.
He doesn't have a choice.
I think to get started, I always like going back to your childhood.
Yeah.
I want to know about who is Zoe, what are those key values that have shaped you? You can tell me about your childhood, your schooling. I always find it so interesting to see the progression from you as a 7-year-old girl to you being now, So you can take us back to where you come from, who you are, and all of that.
So I am Zovuyo. That's actually my real name.
Yeah.
But I just go by Zoe. I was born and raised in Ndane, which is a small town just outside of Butterworth in the Eastern Cape.
Sure.
Yeah.
I went to school in the Eastern Cape, guys.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Where?
Rhodes for varsity.
You went to Rhodes?
Yeah.
Oh, is that where you and Yamkela met?
Yeah, that's where we
right.
met.
That makes a lot of
It's a
sense.
very different, very peaceful, I guess, Eastern Cape. Would you say that?
Peaceful? Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
There's quite a lot that happens that I wouldn't really deem as peaceful, but it can be serene. I was recently there during the month of July.
Yeah.
There is quite a lot of stillness, but obviously the reality of everything that happens and comes with life can maybe still from that peace.
Yeah.
But it is quite serene, I could say, But born and raised in Ndane, that's where my mom is from.
Yeah.
And my dad is from Engcobo, which is actually how Yamkela and I are related. So he's my nephew from my dad's side.
Oh.
Yeah, so his mom is my sister from my dad's side. And I went to school for the first 8 years of my life in Ndane at Qina JSS. Yeah. Actually, when I went home with my fiance, I think about 3 weeks back, I showed him my school and we took pictures. He went inside, and it was just surreal, just having him experience me in that manner, because I think he knows me as Zoe from Port Elizabeth, because eventually we moved to PE, and that's where I did the rest of my schooling days. But it was quite something, man, just, seeing where it all started for me and just seeing the progression, as you call it, and where I am today, and I think that's a Zoe that a lot of people haven't been privy to. So I think I've also been starting to really open up about my background and where I come from. People see this glitzy, glamorous doll, on the internet, but they do not know, how and where it started for me. So I grew up with my grandparents who are both late. But, I was just always surrounded by so much love. My grandmother spoiled me.
I love grandmothers.
She spoiled me. She treated me like an egg.
Yeah.
I was raised with so much softness. And I think anyone that has experienced me as an adult will always know that, oh my gosh, Zoe, you're so lazy, you're so spoiled. You always expect people to do everything for you. Like my fiance always complains because I'll be like, oh, babe, can you please bring me this? Please do this for me. And it's just like, oh my gosh, your grandmother, what did she do to you? And I love it. I think it's one of the best things that could have ever happened to me. And that's how also I'm able to know when situations are good for me. I know what it is like to be loved and taken care of.
Sure.
Yeah. So, and I know to expect that, from the people around me. So I think in a nutshell, that's, who I am, and that's how I was raised. And you asked something about values.
Yeah, key values have shaped you. I mean, already you've spoken about right now that you grew up with so much love and
Definitely.
care that you're not about to take in energy that does not
align with that.
Yeah, align
definitely.
with that. What else would you say have been the key values for you?
I would say kindness.
That's a good one.
Kindness is so important to me.
And that's evident. Like, I think even when you walked in, you were engaging, and I was just like, I think that's evident because I think you also walk with that in you. And I think
carry
that's
so much kind energy.
Because I was just like, why is it consistent? Yami, your sister, and you guys have that energy. So that makes sense that it was something that you learned from home.
Definitely. And I'm fortunate enough to also get it in return because I think that's what I put out there. I would also say integrity. I do not care to get ahead or, be at the top if it means that I have to compromise who I am, if it means I have to lie, cheat, steal, if it means I have to break the law, if it means I have to gatekeep or, backstab in order to get what I want. If it means that I have to do all those things, then I do not want it.
Yeah.
So integrity is very important to me. And lastly, I would say consistency. I think anyone that knows me will know that I'm consistent in my energy, I'm consistent in my work, I'm consistent in everything that I put out there. I've been the same Zoe, since I was a child, since I was in varsity, since, I started working. And I think I'm still that person even today. So consistency is something that has shaped me to be who I am. Yeah.
I love that. I want to go back to your consistency. When did the fashion bug bite you? Were you like at 7 when Zoe, that fashionista, walking in with pink leggings and everyone is like, what is happening? We don't know,
Definitely. I was one of those girls that had those cute, lace socks with like bows and everything. I loved pink. I was fortunate enough to have my mom working in Cape Town whilst I was living with my gran. So she would shop and buy all these nice things for me and obviously bring them back whenever she came to visit us. And my grandmother really instilled this value of dressing up when we go to church. And I think that's where it started for me. I really was one of those kids that had the best and cutest dresses and sweaters and cardigans. I really was a doll since day one. I don't think it's something that I picked up along the way. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're even saying that this jacket, so guys, if you like listening to this, when you get a chance, go on YouTube. This jacket was your mom's jackets. Like, yes. I mean, it also seems that your mom was also very into fashion.
She was really stylish. And I think that's why she would, pour her everything into picking out all these cute outfits for me. But she was a well-dressed lady. And when I was home now in July, I actually bumped into this houndstooth jacket. A cousin of mine was actually wearing it at my grandmother's unveiling. And I was like, girl, you're taking this off. I am taking this. I will e-wallet you money, you know, because I'm not selfish like that, you know. But I was just like, you know what, I need this jacket, and it so happened that it did belong to my mom when she was in her 20s, and I am obsessed. People will be seeing it all over my Instagram.
I love it.
I'm obsessed.
I actually thought, why did you buy that? Because I'm like, it looks like something that I would wear,
right?
Something that I would want to introduce into
the
my
padded shoulders. It's amazing. I love it. I'm so obsessed with it.
It's amazing. What would you, just going back to your grandmother, your mom, who would you say is your fashion icon? I know this is not part of the questions. Just to throw it out there, who's your fashion icon? Or someone that you look up to when it comes to fashion?
Outside of my mom and my gran?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, anyone. It could even be like, I would even say two, because it is a tricky one.
It's very tricky. I think obviously because of exposure, I would say it was my mom, because I was obviously exposed to her very early on. I could see how she carried herself and how she dressed herself. But obviously once I started consuming media and my exposure to fashion was widened, I would say it has to be Princess Diana.
Oh, really?
Princess Diana till this day.
Sure.
Till this day, I don't think anyone comes close to, you know, the lady, the daintiness and the preppiness of her outfits.
I love that. Princess Diana. I love
Definitely.
that. And I can actually see in some of the outfits that you wear.
Even the polka dots. I think that's where I picked up my love for
even
polka.
this jacket is so like Princess Diana in the early 90s or late 80s.
100%.
And
that's my goal.
Your goal.
Yeah, that's my goal.
I feel like you're really doing amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
What would you say when you were growing up? What did you want to be?
I wanted to become a fashion designer.
Really?
Yes, since high school.
Yeah.
I think that's when I started thinking about my future. And I was very much into drawing and sketching. I remember I even sketched my matric dance dress. But, I mean, the type of school I went to, you know, it was a township school. So it's not like we had art classes where I could really explore that creative side to me. But obviously that was not an option for me. I didn't really know enough about the industry as well. Because of lack of exposure. So I then went on to study IT. So that's how I ended up studying IT. But also it was pressure from, you know, my dad and everyone. You know, I come from a very well-educated family. So they're very like, you go to school, you go to university, you either study, you know, medicine or accounting. You know. So fashion was not even on the table for me. But once I, you know, got more exposed, you know, I was in varsity, I was learning about all these different departments. You know, there were people that were studying public relations that I had never even heard about by the time I was doing my first year and so on. But once I realized that maybe I don't really want to make clothes myself, maybe I could work for a fashion publication.
Yes.
So at the time, Elle magazine was a thing. I wanted to work for Elle with everything in me. So I think between fashion and media, that's where I saw myself.
And then that's, you know, basically where you are, where in somehow
PR landed me in the middle of that, I would say. I think that's what ultimately encouraged me to pursue public relations.
So talking about that, maybe can you take us through your career journey? So you studied IT, you find yourself in PR. Maybe you can just take us from when you started. You can also show your entrepreneurial journey, because you did also tap into that.
Yes.
Just to show that journey, because I always find it fascinating. I mean, I'm an attorney by profession, but I'm in the tech space doing something completely different from what I studied. Yeah. I still am the lawyer, so they mustn't, not remove that in the company. Yeah. But take us through your career journey and how you've progressed in all of that.
Sure, it's been quite colorful. That's what I like to call it, colorful. So I didn't complete my IT qualification. I gave up in third year. I think the second round of my third year project, I was just like, oh my gosh, this thing is so difficult. I found programming to be so difficult.
It is, though.
It is, right?
It is. I don't
know how people do it. And there are people that are so brilliant at it.
They're passionate.
And they excel. I think the passion is what I lacked.
Yeah.
I don't think it was difficult because I'm stupid. I think we can all agree that I'm far from that.
Yeah.
But I think I lacked the passion and the drive to really invest my time in it. I hated coding. I hated spending time in the computer labs. I would spend the time, yes, but I was definitely Googling Rihanna's outfits. I was definitely Googling Paris Hilton and her new bestie. They're in what are they doing? Where are they vacationing? Which yacht are they riding on? That was mostly what I was interested in. So eventually I felt like, no, man, I feel like my life is at a standstill. And at the time, I was about 22 when I made the decision to drop out. And another thing that worked in my favor was that I studied quite young. So I did my first year, 15, going on 16.
Sure.
So,
So you were 15 when you started first year?
Yeah. I was 15. So
how was that navigating being 15 in varsity?
It was hell. I think at that time, when I was obviously trying to adjust, because I was also living without my mom for the first time. I'm at Rose, trying to adjust and living with all these kids that went to these fancy schools. There's the bullying that comes with your accent. There's this, there's that.
Sure.
And, you are studying IT, majoring in programming with people that had been studying IT since high school. And you're still trying to navigate, Microsoft Word, how to type, how to work around fonts. It was hell. And because I was still immature, I didn't know what it was. And I think I didn't know how to handle it. But obviously, I held on. I made it to third year, and I think I was doing relatively well considering. But the third year project was hell for me. I think I found it to be so difficult. But eventually, I spoke to my mom. I was like, Mom, I don't think this IT thing is for me. It is extremely hard. And I think I'm ready to move on to something else. Thankfully, my mom is very supportive, and she's always on board. Like, whatever it is, my goal, let me know. You've got my love and support. And at the time, I really didn't know what it is that I wanted to do. So I think I took a year to just try and figure out how and what it is that I need to do with my life. And I think that's when I thought, you know what? Perhaps I can still get into fashion without being a designer through PR, because then PR can land me, in different spaces. I can become a fashion writer. I can become a fashion journalist. I can work for Elle magazine. I can become a stylist. There's all these different things, right, that I could possibly do. After a year, I then enrolled for PR. But now at this time, I'm 23, about to turn 24. Just like, okay, maybe I am older to just be focusing on my studies. I then thought, let me apply for an internship so that whilst I study PR part-time, I do something with my life. Because now I'm about to turn 25. There's an expectation to not be supported by my mom.
Yeah.
I think her medical aid was also about to kick me out. So I have to be a grown-up.
Yeah.
So I thought, let me actually get a job. But I knew that I wanted to get a job that would be aligned to my new PR journey. So I then started applying for internships in Johannesburg, and at the time, obviously, I was in PE.
Are you still in PE at this time?
Yeah, I'm still in PE. Started applying, and I sent out maybe 10 or so applications, and I only got one response. And that response led to an interview, and my mom booked me the flights. And fortunately enough for me, I also had family in Johannesburg, so I could stay with family, and they could support me through the interview process whilst I waited for the results as well, because they also took about a month to get back to me. And I was not hearing from them. And I remember my mom was like, girl, should I book your flights back home? Because you can't just be in Joburg doing nothing. And I remember thinking, okay, cool. Just before you book the flights, let me just send one last email to these people. And I remember after I emailed them, they said, oh yeah, we actually forgot to get back to you. Are you able to come and start on Monday?
Sure.
So that's how I got into PR. So I started in that internship, and I think 3 months in, they promoted me into PR assistant.
Sure.
6 months later, I was an account manager, and that was 11 years ago.
Sure.
And as they say, the rest is history. Yeah.
Hi guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. Remember, the episode does not end here. So make sure you go on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and also Google Podcasts to check out the full episode and be inspired, learn so much more, and learn more from our guests today. I hope you stay equipped and elevated. Love from Ayanda.